Hey guys, and welcome to a new series, um, Alternate Future of the Cold War. It technically will be starting alternate history, but then going into alternate future. So we are actually going to be starting up here in Europe, where an interesting event is going to be taking place. Now, first of all, the Americans and British will unite their territorial control zones in Germany to form West Germany. France, however, will refrain from doing so for a couple um months, and eventually, despite America being kind of angry at them for doing this, they will annex the Saarland and then hand over the rest of their um puppet not puppet control zone to the West Germans. Seeing as the Russians, seeing as a new German state has appeared, will not like this, and so they will create their own German puppet state in East Germany. Over here in Ecuador, we have an interesting event taking place. Now, this event, um, as you might have guessed, has to do with Ecuador. Now, Ecuador is facing some problems. Now, what are these problems? Well, Ecuador, well, there are some people who are kind of unhappy with life in Ecuador. And these people, well, they want to be free. So, what the heck? Some Ecuadorians will revolt along the coasts of Ecuador and not by the coast, threatening Quito right away, which is about there. I'm not sure if I said that right. But anyway, they will push out immediately and take this spot from Ecuador and connect up their exclaves down here, though these ones are taken really quickly. Over here in the north, they will be pushed back a little bit still, but they will also be able to sweep down and take over most of the coast and eventually the capital. The main Ecuadorian government will flee from the last port they have to the Galapagos as the revolters, the revolutionaries, I don't know what they're called, take over the rest of Ecuador, and we will take a look at this peace treaty. As you may have guessed, there isn't really much of a peace treaty, but anyway, the main Ecuadorian government is still based in the Galapagos Islands over here, whilst a new government that's pro the people is over here in Ecuador. Now, I don't mean this is like democratic, it's not. It's more socialist, I'd say. So these don't people don't align themselves with the Soviet Union, but they certainly don't align with America either. Here in Korea, we have a war breaking out. North Korean troops will storm into South Korea, and the US will demand that Russia make North Korea stop. Russia will not respond, and the war will continue. North Korean troops will take Incheon and Seoul, devastating South Korea as they are pushed back very far down the peninsula. A battle will be fought outside of Busan, which will be won by the North Koreans as they push the South Koreans back. The South Koreans will begin making some progress, and Americans will make a controversial landing at Incheon. However, it will go great, and Seoul will be retaken. Busan will be retaken as well, and the peninsula is pushed farther up. Eventually, North Korea will agree to sign peace, and we'll take a look at each treaty. We see North Korea annexing some land with South Korea, and just barely Seoul is still within South Korea. The old border looked something like that, I think. Maybe even more like this. I don't know. but they took roughly this amount of land, which is a little bit more than in our timeline where the border looks something like that. But that is it for Korea. But some other things are going to be happening elsewhere in the world. We are actually going to be staying in East Asia though, as the Russians are invading Mongolia. The West will immediately condemn this. However, there's nothing they can do, as China is still allied to Russia at this point, and Russian troops move into Mongolia from all sides. China will not allow Russia to use their territory, however, they won't provide any relief to Mongolia, and Russia is going to absolutely decimate the Mongolians here as their troops pour across the northern bit of the country. Now, you might be like, wait, wasn't Mongolia in the Comintern during World War II? Yes, they were. But Mongolia had been going increasingly pro-neutral, and they had just declared their neutrality, and Russia didn't allow that, so they have begun an invasion. Ulaanbaatar will be captured by Russian forces, and Mongolia will surrender. And so let's take a look at this peace treaty. So this is what our peace treaty will be looking like, with Russia annexing the land that's behind this line. And I'll just go and erase the old Mongolian border. And now you can say hello to the new Mongolian border. Now Mongolia will be turned into a puppet of the Russians. And so yeah. So that will do it for today's episode. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the videos. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by 2026. Commenting and liking will help, as that will increase the YouTube algorithm's chance of showing our videos to other people. And so I will see you next time.